On this episode of Hockey Inside Out, should we be worried about Carey Price's injury, or does it not really matter anymore because we have Charlie Lindgren? We're back with another edition of Hockey Inside Out. Do I even really need to introduce these people anymore? They're here all the time. I'll do it anyway. Stu Cowan, CBC Daybreak, Jessica Rusnak, and Chris Nilan. Here's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Number 1, is Charlie Lindgren the Habs goalie of the future? Number 2, is Carey Price's latest injury cause for long-term concern? Number 3, should the Habs re-sign Tomas Plekanec next year? Number 4, can Shea Weber maintain his current on-ice workload? And number 5, who is the Canadiens' number 2 defenseman right now? Let's begin. Charlie Lindgren is now 5-0 and has allowed only 7 goals in his first 5 NHL games. What a freak. By the time Carey Price returns from his injury, the Canadiens may have the best kind of problem on their hands. What do you do when you have 2 great goalies and only 1 net to play in? Is Charlie Lindgren the Habs goalie of the future?
Go ahead.
It's a little early to. I mean,
5 games.
Played 5 games
to bury Carey Price.
Trade Carey Price right away. But Charlie Lindgren, he's obviously a talented kid. He's really, really talented. He's a total opposite of Carey Price, who's sort of all technique. You know, Lindgren's sort of a throwback. He's an acrobatic goalie. He's a little bit of Dominic Hasek in him. You see him stacking the pads and doing stuff that you don't normally see. He's a really good goalie, but 5 games isn't enough to say he's ready to supplant Carey Price. But the Canadiens should be happy because the kid looks like he's going to be something special going forward.
Well, I think that was the thing, that Al Montoya was the backup goaltender, but if Carey Price got injured, you never really expected him to take on all the workload, that he was really the guy that was going to play a game here or there. But it's great that Charlie Lindgren has been able to come up after struggling a little bit in the AHL so far this year and find his game and play really well. I think that's given a lot of Canadiens fans a chance to calm down a little bit in this city and feel kind of confident in the team right now.
Yeah, I think he may have to be the number 1 goaltender at some point here during the season. He just may have to. It depends on what's going on with Carey Price. And you know, there's a big if and when he gets back in that net, if he's able to regain the form he had in previous seasons. Now, Charlie Lindgren, sure, he had a very good college career, as short as it was, the 2 years he played. I think I interviewed his coach here when he got signed by the Canadiens. He had nothing but good things to say about him. Thought that one day he would be a good NHLer. And although he has struggled in the American Hockey League, his record up here has been good. And I can only think he'll get better with the direction and guidance of a guy like Stefan Waite.
Well, did you hear, too, that he hasn't got his new mask for this year? He's still wearing the St. John's Ice Caps mask, and he was asked, you know, are you planning to change it up? Because they sent the mask to somewhere in Ontario, and he said, yeah, no problem, I'm not superstitious. I think that's probably the first goaltender I've ever heard saying that they're not superstitious.
Yeah, the thing I wonder, too, though, I mean, you're talking about is the 1 goalie, maybe he's the 1B, because I wonder now if Carey Price can still play 65 games a year. Maybe he's only like a 55 game a year goalie, and if you need another goalie to play 27, I don't know if Al Montoya is that guy. I think it might be Charlie Lindgren.
Well, do you see, what I see is maybe the best case scenario is he gets good enough that they can trade him for a player of value. Do you see that as the best case scenario?
Well, no,
obviously they're not.
I wouldn't look at trading this guy. You're going to need him. Listen, question mark with Price, big question mark. Injury, is this, you know, something that the injury he had before, what's going on with Carey Price, we don't know. But I wouldn't trade this guy. Certainly, and we talked about earlier in the year about Laval. How good is it to have the goaltender right up the street? You know, again, he's a starting goaltender. I wouldn't like to see him, if he stayed here and Price does get back in the net, sit on the bench. I'd rather see him in Laval and play. Al Montoya, you back up. You can always call him up if you don't want to play Big Al.
So, speaking of Price, he's out again with another lower body injury. Is it his knees? Is this something that Habs fans should be worried about?
We don't know what it is, right? They're not going to tell you. It's a lower body injury. I wonder just what's going on with him, because I just can't see a goaltender of his caliber doing what he's done, playing like he can play, and seeing what he put out there this season. To me, something is going on with this guy. Injury, If is it mental? Is it emotional? Something is going on with Carey Price.
Well, Claude Julien said it wasn't a nagging injury. It was something that happened like on one play or something. But so how does that explain his play before if it was just that one thing? So you wonder, like he hasn't been himself. He really hasn't been Carey Price. He's looked lackadaisical a lot of times out there. He's not the Carey Price that we know. And they insist it's a minor lower body injury, and it has nothing to do with the right knee injury he had a couple of years ago. But I mean, as time goes on, we'll find out, I guess. But right now, there's reason for concern with Carey Price.
Things don't look good too. That next year, that's when the big contract kicks in, and Marc Bergevin is going to find out if it was worth giving your goaltender all that money, because now he becomes almost untradeable. That I don't know how many teams will want to take on $10.5 million a year for a goaltender who's not playing at the elite status that he has before.
Well, a healthy Carey Price, that's a big contract for somebody to take on at $10.5 million a year. I got a 30-year-old goalie with a history of knee problems who's out with a minor injury again. Boy, not too many GMs are going to be jumping at that. I don't think, not right now anyway.
Tomas Plekanec has 3 goals and 3 assists in 16 games so far this season. That puts him on pace for roughly 30 points. Do you think it's worth it for the Canadiens to re-sign him next year when his contract is over?
If they can fill the hole. They have to fill the hole before they talk about getting rid of him. But, yeah, that's my issue with it. You can bring up a guy, obviously, from Laval, a center iceman who probably will play the whole year in the American Hockey League. Will he improve? Could probably fill the gap, but Tomas Plekanec is playing well right now, and I get his age and I get the amount of money, but until they get something better, if they want to win hockey games, he's a key guy. And it's not just his offensive output. We always, judge a player on his goals and assists. He does so much more for this team, regardless of what some of the experts say.
Well, the biggest problem with Tomas Plekanec is his contract. He's not a $6 million a year hockey player. That's not his fault. But it's almost like with Andrei Markov, where you don't appreciate what you have till it's gone. Tomas Plekanec could fall into a similar role. The fans won't appreciate what he does for this team until he's gone. Torrey Mitchell's contract is up after this year as a 4th-line center. Plekanec is a 3rd, 4th-line center, making $2 million a year, let's say, something like that. He plays against all the other teams' top lines. He takes key faceoffs. He's a valuable player. He's not worth $6 million. So if he's willing, but he's a guy who likes Montreal, seems to enjoy playing here, and maybe would be willing to take quite a drastic pay cut. I mean, $12 million the last 2 years. I think he's got a lot of money in the bank.
Yeah, well, that's what I think too. Is like if you look around the league, he's not going to get $6 million from any other team. So say if they agree for $3 million, and he says, you know what, now maybe I could get 3.5 somewhere else. I like it here. I've played my whole career here. My kids are settled. Why not? Like, I just can't see Tomas Plekanec wanting to move at this stage of his career unless, a team comes and shoves a lot of money in his face.
I really like this guy. I do. Keeps his mouth shut, does his thing, goes out there every night. Never any noise out of it.
No, nothing phases him. It doesn't matter win a game, lose a game, winning streak, losing streak. You speak to him, he's always the same. You got to be really close because he speaks so softly you can't hear him. But nothing seems to faze him. He's been around here long enough. He knows everything that goes around.
Really like him. Yeah. Always have.
Shea Weber has been averaging 27 minutes of ice time recently. Claude Julien acknowledges that's something that can't keep up, but when will that change? Do you think he can maintain that workload?
I think it'll change when Schlemko gets back. They might be able to, watch it a little more. But the thing is, they're going to have to pull it back. And it's hard to do when you're in a game. You're going to say you're going to do it, and then you're in a game and you're competing, and they're in a situation where Shea Weber has to be on the ice, killing penalties, power play. Next thing you know, it's a close game. You want them out at the end of the game, and you can't cut the minutes back. So the coach can get wrapped up in that sometimes during the game. And I think when Schlemko gets healthy, everybody's healthy on D, then we'll see it come down a little more than it is.
Well, he's their best defenseman on the power play, their best defenseman at regular strength, their best defenseman penalty killing. The minutes are up there. But the game against Vegas, Jordie Benn led the team in ice time with 25, almost 26 minutes. Second was Petrie. Third was Shea Weber. So Claude Julien realizes that already. You can't keep playing this guy that kind of minutes throughout the year. But the better Jordie Benn plays, And he has started playing better. Petrie still needs to pick up his game quite a bit.
He got walked last night, big time.
He needs to pick up his game. But Ben really has picked up his game, and I'm sure Julien's just thrilled about that. But Shea Weber's a beast, man. He's just a beast, and you just throw him out there, and he plays and he does his thing, and he's been around long enough that he knows how to pace himself. People will complain, oh, Shea Weber doesn't throw enough big hits or whatever, but I think he knows how to pace himself so he can play 27, 28 minutes a game.
Well, it's no secret that the Canadiens' defensive core has struggled to start the season. So if they were all playing up to their potential, his numbers would not be the same. But it's like we said, there's nothing you can do. You need to go out there and win games, especially when they're going through that slump that they were. So I don't think they're going to try and manage his minutes, as we mentioned, against the game against Vegas. But until they go and get someone that's able to help or have David Schlemko comes back, I think this is just the situation that they're in at the moment.
Well, the other thing with Shea Weber is just the value of him bringing along Victor Mete. Mete only played 8 minutes against Vegas, but he was playing 20 minutes earlier in the season with Shea Weber. So Weber has brought this kid along where now they know he can play in the NHL. Now they just need to figure out how they're going to spot him. Maybe they'll send him to Team Canada for the World Juniors. But Shea Weber's played a big role in Victor Mete becoming the defenseman he has so far in the NHL.
So who do you think is their number 2 defenseman right now on the team?
Jordie Benn, I would guess, right now.
Well,
but
he's
been. Weber played with.
It should be Petrie.
It should be Petrie.
It should be
Is he going to
Petrie.
pick it up?
But against Vegas, Weber played with every single defenseman.
Yeah.
It's like it was rotating. Like every time you're looking from the press box, okay, now he's with him, and now he's with him, and now he's with him, and they're just rotating everybody through him. But I think moving forward, they have to find somebody to be that number 2 guy. And right now, probably Jordie Benn's the best candidate.
See, I said at the beginning of the year, I thought this defense was a lot better than people give it credit for. And the fact of the matter is, when Carey Price was playing like he was playing this year, that affected this whole team in such a negative way. Like he affects his team in a positive way, that affected the team in a negative way. And we saw it on the ice. And you get down a couple goals, and another soft one goes in. It's like, it's deflating for a hockey team. And this is what I think hurt the defense cores early. And again, they aren't the fleet of foot defense that Nashville is. We get that, but there's still a good defensive bunch.
But Julien and players said it, not a direct shot at Carey Price. I don't know how many times they said it early in the season. Oh, we make a mistake, it ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And that was said more than a few times, and it was true. Every time the defense made a mistake, it was in the back of the net because Carey Price wasn't there to save them like he had in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's our show for this week. If you like the video, tell your friends about it, and also click on the little like button at the bottom of the screen and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear what you think about what we discussed today on YouTube or on the website. I'm Adam Susser. I'll see you next Thursday.